What's up guys, Matt
and Blake
from FootballBooks.co.uk, and today we're going to be taking a close look at Nike's brand new Motion Blur Pack, which is amazing and it takes inspiration from the Clash Pack released for Euro 2012, and it's all about using two colours to clash against each other. The first time it was quite blocky, this time it's much more gradient, but let's get into the first boot.
So the first boot is the Hypervenom Phantom 3. So this is part of the Motion Blur, blue and white. Matt, do you like it?
Yeah, so this is photo blue and white, and I think it's much more of a nicer colourway compared to the launch colourway. That's the first thing to say. The green and the red, I think it's just too bold, yes. And I think white and blue works really nicely, and as I said in our previous video, it's coming into spring, the weather's getting better, the pictures are getting better, so this is going to look so crisp on pitch.
So I definitely agree. I think blue and white together is much better than green and red together. Overall, a much better design than the launch one.
So one part of the Phantom 3 which I really like is those pour and pod technology, and the ones which actually do feature pour and pods have that little bit of a blue fleck onto that white colourway. So all of the other ones, they're just hollow, but the ones with the blue, they've got the pour and pods.
Now the back of the boot is pretty much, you see that stripe design, it's in blue and blue this time round, but onto this boot, this is the low cut Phantom 3. You're a big fan of this one.
Yeah, so this is my own preferred model in the Hypervenom. I think the collar, we don't need the collar. I think it's a little bit more of a gimmick.
Yes.
You don't actually need it. I much prefer the more traditional fit around the heel with that low cut. But again, we can see it's got that pour and pod technology. So it's exactly the same boot, minus the collar. Simple as that.
So now on to the women's Hypervenom Phantom 3. There's not much change, but I actually prefer this design over the first one we saw.
Well, I prefer the first one, but I can appreciate this is much more bold, and again, it just features that one overall colourway. It's much more photo blue all round, which is something you're a fan of. You just prefer the one colourway with some slight accents.
Yes, a solid blue colourway. This is a great shot here. You got a bit of orange on the sock liner and on the border of the swoosh logos, a bit of white as well. But overall, I think this is a much better design than the original photo blue men's Motion Blur edition.
I really like those little orange touches. I think that's quite sharp. I like it against the blue and the white. I feel blue and orange just work so well together. We saw it on some Puma boots before, and I think it's just a nice combination.
Now on to the Hypervenom X Proximo. So this is the latest generation of the Proximo. Sort of a navy and white design, isn't it?
Yeah, this isn't for me. I think navy on football boots doesn't really work. I much prefer the photo blues and electric blues. I think it just looks a bit more aesthetic. I think it's nicer looking overall. Navy doesn't really work for me, but I think it looks smart, but not that nice.
So the indoor court version has a white sole and the turf version has a black sole. So overall, yes, I'm not really a massive fan of this one. Again, you can see that little zoom icon on the bottom of the sole plate of the Proximo. So now on to the Magista Obra, Matty.
Yeah, so we've got that white and Volt colourway, and I say it so many times, Nike smash Volt. It is their trademark colour, and I think when they use it as a pop for an accent, I think it works so classy together, and again, this is perfect for spring football.
Yes, it reminds me a lot of the Clash pack, but as well as that, the Shine Through pack. Remember the Shine Through, which is pretty much all white with a bit of colour. Now this is stunning, I love this design. Now the boot itself has a Flyknit upper with what's the technology on the upper there?
So it's actually got some dimples inside of the upper. So on that Opus, which we're going to talk about very soon because the Opus 2 has changed, but those dimples are actually inside the Flyknit upper and Nike skin themselves, which is actually a very good upper, and is probably, alongside the Hypervenom 3, the most technologically advanced out there.
And you see the anatomical fit of the dynamic fit collar there. You see it on the Hypervenom, now you see it on the Magista Obra. Now on to the next one. So what is this, Matty?
So this is the women's Obra 2. Now this is bold, there's no doubt about it.
Yep.
You either have to be a girl playing football who likes their very bold, bright colourways, or a very confident male footballer who likes to play on the wing or up front and likes to be very bold on the pitch.
Yeah, personally I don't mind yellow, but with that blue and white, it's just not for me. If that was black, I would be in love with it straight away, but that again, you see that heat map design, not many people are big fans of that heat map design. So now on to the next design, which is the Opus.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Opus 2. Now before we talk about the colourway, there is something pretty special which is about this Opus 2. Nike have actually changed a lot of the construction. We're not going to talk about it too much because tomorrow we're going to give you an overall video on how the Opus 2 has now evolved to be much more similar to the Obra 2. Something very similar to the Hypervenom 3 this time around, but again it shares that same white and yellow colourway.
Yes.
So I think you're absolutely right. When we looked at that women's Obra 2, you said if it was Volt with the black, that would have been much better, and that's exactly what you can say about the Opus 2 for women as well. I think the blue and the yellow together is just a little bit too much. There's two bright colourways put together. I think if it was Volt and black, very nice, but with the blue, maybe a little bit too much.
Okay guys, so now on to the Magista X Proximo. I'm in love with this design. What about you, Matty?
Yeah, so I think the one big change on the Proximos is that white colourway that you found on the football boots has now been turned into grey. Nike like to use their wolf grey on their indoor, and that's exactly what you get on the Magista X Proximos. And I think for an indoor shoe, these are top level, very good.
So now on to the Mercurial X Proximo 2 and maroon and white, Matty.
So this is a lovely colourway, there's no doubt about it. These look so fresh. I love that very luxurious red colourway. It's not a bright red, it's more of almost a burgundy look. Yes. And we all know that burgundy is a very classy and luxurious colourway, and these look splendid.
I love the two tones of burgundy too. So you got a lighter tone and you got a darker tone on the medial side with a black swoosh, white border. Overall, I actually probably think this is probably my favourite indoor design of the entire video. Now on to the next design, which is the Tiempo Legend.
Now look, one of my own favourite colourways, not even on football boots but trainers and in clothing, is mint green, and I love seeing it on this white Tiempo Legend 6 because I think the white and the mint green work so well together. It really is a classic colour combination, and with those little bits of black, I think this is one of my favourite Tiempo Legend 6.
It's almost a great boot for summer football, isn't it? It's not really a boot you'd wear on a muddy, soft ground pitch, is it?
No, white leather on wet winter pitches doesn't really work that well, but I think for a summer pitch with those white socks, very sharp.
Now on to the next design, which is a Tiempo Legend again, but this is the women's edition.
Yeah, so this is the women's edition, and this is such a shame for me because I love the orange base coat and I love the touches of white, but then they're giving it extra yellow and pink detailing. I don't think it needs it. Keep it orange, keep it white, but then just add some black, that's all it needs.
Exactly, Matty. I think it's the same sort of case with that Hypervenom. You don't really need that colour of trim, the yellow trim on the blue boot. This time round you got white and yellow, it just doesn't really work together with orange that well. On to the next boot, which is the Vapor.
Yeah, so this is the Vapor 11. Now this is probably the most standout colourway of all of the Motion Blur pack because it's all about that contrasting gradient, transforming that racer pink into white. I think it does look amazing. Pink boots aren't necessarily for me. I don't think I like them that much. I'm a centre half defender. You probably kind of get away with pink boots, but I love the effect.
Yeah, pink boots aren't really for me as well, but when they're used in that sort of quantity, it's almost perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very similar to that Clash Pack Mercurial boot, but overall black swoosh, white border, pink on the back, white on the front, white sole plate. Overall, stunning design. So now on to the next boot, which is the Mercurial Superfly 5, but this is the women's edition.
Yeah, so again, women's colourway. Now, as you can see so far in this video, I think the women's colourways have been really nice in this Motion Blur pack with those base coats of pink and greys, but one little slight disappointment for me is they've given it another colour on top, this time yellow. I don't think it's needed.
Now on to the next one, which is the Mercurial Superfly 5, but this is the sort of standard men's edition. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this boot. Red dominant for collar, perfect.
Yep, so the big difference between the Vapor 11 and the Superfly 5 is the collar and the Flyknit construction. Now, one thing about this Motion Blur pack, which is similar to the Clash pack released back in 2012, but takes it to a new level, is that Nike used to create that block design. So one colour at the back, one colour at the front, but this time, kind of 4 or 5 years on, they've now given it a gradient, which is the whole design right now. Look at all these football boots on the market. It's all about creating a gradient effect. That's where football boots are going right now, and I think it does look incredible.
I mean, that is perfect. This is probably my favourite design of the entire video. Black swoosh, white on the front, sort of pink crimson on the back. Very nice design. And that again is another shot of the women's edition. I'm not really a big fan of this, Matty.
Too many colours going on. I think if it was just grey and pink, fine, I'd see it. But just the yellow accents, I don't think it's needed. Slight disappointment.
So that is it, guys. That is the Motion Blur pack by Nike Football. Which has been your favourite of the Motion Blur pack? Please vote in the poll card now. Thank you very much for watching, and as always,
we'll see you next time.